It's Wednesday, August 28th, 2024. Democrat internal polling must be awful. Trump and Harris will debate, just like I said, and what really motivates RFK Jr. next on the AM Update. Well, it seems like Democrat internal polling must be really bad because Special Counsel Jack Smith yesterday afternoon filed another indictment against former President Trump over his alleged efforts to challenge the results of the 2020 presidential election, revising the charges in an effort to navigate a recent Supreme Court ruling that gave former presidents immunity for official acts. The new indictments keeps the prior criminal charges but narrows and reframes the allegations against the Republican presidential nominee after a Supreme Court ruling that conferred broad immunity on former presidents. Specifically, the indictment has been changed to remove allegations involving Department of Justice officials and other government officials. It clarifies Trump's role as candidate and makes clear the allegations regarding his conversations with then Vice President Mike Pence in his ceremonial role as president of the Senate. The new indictment removes a section of the previous indictment that had accused Trump of trying to wield the Department of Justice to undo his 2020 loss. To me, this seems like a very, very panicked move on the part of the Democrats' deep state cabal to do this late in the game. I think we're 69 days away from the election, 69 days away from the election, hitting Trump with another round of indictments. That just screams panic. Well, no panic if you were really looking forward to the September 10th debate between Kamala and Donald Trump. They reached an agreement. To my eyes, basically none of the agreement actually changed from the previously agreed upon rules for the debate. Donald Trump said in a statement on Truth Social yesterday, quote, "I've reached an agreement with the radical left Democrats for a debate with Comrade Kamala Harris. It will be broadcast live on ABC Fake News, by far the nastiest and most unfair newscaster in the business, on Tuesday, September 10th in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The rules will be the same as the last CNN debate, which seemed to work out well for everyone except perhaps crooked Joe Biden. The debate will be stand-up and candidates cannot bring notes or cheat sheets. We've also been given assurance by ABC that this will be a fair and equitable debate." Trump continued on in that post, and no need to go there, but that debate is on. To my mind, that's probably going to be the first and last debate of this cycle, at least involving Kamala and Trump. Well, Kamala and Tim Walz are finally sitting down for their first interview. Vice President Kamala Harris and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz will sit down with CNN for their first joint interview later this week as Democrats work to broaden their base's excitement from last week's Democrat National Convention. That is a story from CNN about this CNN interview. That last sentence is weird. How could you broaden excitement from last week's debate, where it was just orgasmic levels of celebration of democracy that was suspended to save democracy, of course? Again, 2 out of the 3 stories, I can see some panic here amongst Democrats. They're basically saying, we're not seeing the post-convention violence we thought we were going to. Better get Harris and Walz in front of a camera for interviews, their first major interview, and a joint one at that, as both Walz and Kamala will be interviewed by Dana Bash. This news came on the day the latest news dropped about Kamala's latest flip-flop. Despite Kamala championing for years outlawing gasoline-powered cars in her Senate days, her campaign claimed yesterday she's now opposed to electric vehicle mandates. That's yet another walkback on behalf of the California Democrat, and possibly the biggest one of them all. In a fact-check email, Harris Campaign Rapid Response Director Amar Moussa dismissed claims made by Donald Trump and his running mate J.D. Vance about the Veep's readiness to force every American to own an electric vehicle. The email wrote, quote, "Fact, Vice President Harris does not support an electric vehicle mandate." The missive went on to tout the Biden-Harris administration's so-called Inflation Reduction Act, arguing that it provided groundbreaking subsidies and tax credits for electrical vehicles. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg admitted this week that his company Facebook was pressured by the Biden-Harris administration to censor Americans, particularly on the issue of COVID-19. Zuckerberg made the admission in a letter to House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan, more than a year after providing the committee with thousands of documents as part of its investigation into content moderation on online platforms. Along with the documents, the Meta CEO said the company has provided a dozen employees to be available for transcribed interviews, stressing Meta's cooperation with the investigation. The letter said, quote, "There's a lot of talk right now around how the U.S. government interacts with companies like Meta. I want to be clear about our position. Our platforms are for everyone. We're about promoting speech and helping people connect in a safe and secure way. As part of this, we regularly hear from governments around the world and others with various concerns around public discourse and public safety. Now, to my eyes, this is a little too late. There are a number of people, businesses alike, who rely on Facebook as kind of the digital town square, along with platforms like X. So this is too little too late. He did express in that letter, he did express regret that he didn't actually push back more to government attempts to use Facebook to censor Americans. But again, too little too late. However, I will say I've seen a marked shift in Mark Zuckerberg. Ever since he took up mixed martial arts, it seems like he's had less of an aversion to right-wing America. I don't know if there's a correlation or causation there. Also, over the 4th of July Independence Day weekend, he posted a photo of himself waterblading with an American flag, and he said that the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, at least the aftermath where Donald Trump got up and started pumping his fist, he said that was the most badass moment he's ever seen in American politics. Something tells me either he's a chameleon or something is starting to change in that Silicon Valley tech mogul's mind, at least on how he sees politics. Tuesday got off to a tragic start at Atlanta's International Airport after a tire unexpectedly exploded on a Delta Airlines jet and killed 2 workers instantly. The incident took place just after 5 a.m. in a maintenance hangar near the airport's international terminal, according to officials. The plane is a 31-year-old Boeing 757-232, and it had been grounded since it completed a flight from Las Vegas on Sunday night. Delta confirmed the deaths in a statement and added that a 3rd worker was injured in the blast. Sources told WSB-TV that the surviving worker was seriously injured as well. The airline said in the statement, quote, "The Delta family is heartbroken at the loss of 2 team members and the injury of another following the incident this morning. We've extended our full support to family members and colleagues during this incredibly difficult time." No details about what caused the explosion were released on Tuesday. The incident does not appear to have impacted the departure or arrivals at Hartsfield-Jackson. An executive order preventing the use of critical race theory in Louisiana's K-12 public education system has been signed by Governor Jeff Landry. His office announced that yesterday morning. According to the governor's office, critical race theory includes divisive teachings that instruct students to view life through the lens of race and victimhood. In the statement, Louisiana's governor said, quote, "Governor Landry believes students should be learning about American exceptionalism and the principles embodied in state and federal constitutions of the United States of America that recognize the equal value of every individual." Landry went on to say this executive order is a much-needed sigh of relief for parents and students across our state, especially as kids are heading back to school. Teaching children that they are currently or destined to be oppressed or to be oppressors based on their race and origin is wrong and has no place in Louisiana classrooms. Hats off to Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry. And finally, I want to leave you with this. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was interviewed by Tucker Carlson, one of his first interviews since dropping out of his independent presidential bid. RFK Jr. talked about what really motivates him and his crusade to make America healthy again.
One of the things that Callie says, there is nothing more profitable in our society today than a sick child, because all of these entities are making money on them. The insurance companies, the hospitals, the medical cartel, the pharmaceutical companies have lifetime annuities. Any child and the earlier that kid is sick, they don't want to kill him. They want them sick for the rest of their lives. And we have now a whole generation. When my uncle was president, 6% of Americans had chronic disease. Today it's 60%. When my uncle was president, do you know what the cost, the annual cost of treating chronic disease was in this country? 0. There weren't even any drugs invented for it. 0. Today, it's about $4.3 trillion.
When your uncle was president...
And none of it is necessary.
What was the autism rate in 1960? Do we know?
In 1960, the autism rate... There's about 4 or 5 studies, and the highest rate, say about 1 in 2,500, 1 in 1,500, 1 in 2,500, 1 in 10,000. So that, it was somewhere between 1 in 1,500 and 1 in 10,000. Today, it's 1 in every 34 kids, according to the CDC, and in some states, like California, I think maybe Utah and New Jersey, 1 in 22. 1 in 22 kids. And, these kids should be healthy. These kids should be our highest performing kids, and they instead are have this extraordinary disability that's going to keep them dependent, and not. A lot of these, if you're full-blown autism, it's a nonverbal, non-toilet trained, head banging, stimming, toe walking. These are kids that will never throw a baseball. They'll never graduate high school. They'll never go out and take a girl on a date. They'll never use the toilet alone. They'll never write a play. They'll never write a poem. They'll never vote.
Never have children.
Never pay taxes.
So that just seems like such an emergency.
And for me, like if I could save one of these kids, it would be worth giving my life for it. I'm 70 years old. To save one kid at birth, it would be worth dying for. And to the opportunity and the need for me to save all of these kids, I would do anything for.
It's Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in one of his first interviews since dropping out of his independent presidential bid. He was talking to Tucker Carlson there on the Tucker Carlson Show. That's some good stuff, and I hope that he is utilized, RFK Jr. is utilized in a way that message gets out to as much of the Gen Pop as possible. That'll do it for today. Just a friendly reminder, I am out for the rest of this week and Monday of next week. I'm going to be back on Tuesday. Thank you so much for listening to the AM Update. We'll see you then.